Hi you guys, it's Charlie Tango 1994 back with another YouTube video. If you remember CB radio from the 70s and 80s, you'll probably remember that part of the attraction was the special language that was a compulsory part of using the CB radio in those days. Aside from the various slang and special words used, there was an etiquette used by most CB users when making contact with each other. In those days there was a lot of people on the channels and there was never a shortage of people to talk to. Even without any formal training, it didn't take too long to work out how best to make contact with someone and then find out information from them without them needing to identify themselves or any real specifics about themselves. There were a set of understood rules which the majority of people observed, at least in those days. Anyone returning to CB radio since then would probably be surprised by the lack of these rules nowadays. It's true that these days the airwaves are far less populated than in the early 80s, and at times most of the channels are completely dead. If you leave your radio on for long enough though, you'll probably hear someone put in a call out, and more often than not, a fair smattering of foul language or conversations that would not generally be considered suitable for broadcast. Many old-time CBers would probably hang their heads in shame at what has now become known as the Muppet Bands. As with so many people who first got into Radio Free Citizen bands, most have either given up or qualified through the various exams to move on to the other bands and more permitted power, which greatly increases their range and improves the possibility of making contact with someone who isn't a complete fruitcake. On these other bands, however, there is a great deal more etiquette required, and stricter protocols should be observed when using the radio. No doubt this is part of the reason that most serious radio users have moved on from CB radio, but the rise of the internet has reignited CB radio to an interest, particularly among men of a certain age, and there is some campaigning these days to put the manners back into CB radio, which is no bad thing. In future posts, I'll go into more details about what would be considered the correct way to use a CB radio, and if you're interested in helping with the campaign to clean up the radio, then come back for more. If we expect others to act accordingly, we must lead by example, and we can't blame people for not knowing if they've never been shown.